Hi, are you struggling with the Continental Grip on your serve? Are you guessing what your serve motion is when you play your serve? Do you really understand what pronation is? I'm John Craig, USPTA Elite Professional, certified racket fit coach with over 30 years of coaching experience. And in this video today, I'm going to teach you exactly what pronation is, how to get it, and why you need it to develop a professional quality motion. Let's begin today's lesson with just a review of the grip. And what we want to be serving with is the Continental Grip. So if you don't know what that is, this is going to be a perfect start for you. The Continental Grip is also nicknamed the hammer grip because you want to hold your racket as if you're going to hit a nail with the edge of the racket. So your hand is literally right on top of the handle. And my index finger knuckle is on the first bevel to the right of the top. So that would be very natural for me to have the racket be in a vertical position, and you can also see that this naturally creates a straight line from the shoulder to the tip of the racket. That is considered a neutral or common Continental grip, which is ideal for serving. Now, if you're not using the Continental, that may seem a little bit confusing to you because why would you want the strings to be facing the side as you come forward? And if you're already using the Continental Grip and you probably know what pronation is, this is going to help you actually further clarify that, how to actually activate that pronation so that you can generate more power and more spin on your serve. So first of all, the only way you're going to be able to pronate is if you are playing with a Continental Grip. And the Continental Grip actually enables you to activate the motion that we're seeking to build a really professional quality serve motion. So what is pronation? Well, historically, we've thought of pronation, and it's been taught that pronation is really in the wrist. It is a rotation where your palm is rotating to the outside. The opposite is called supination, and this is called pronation. So historically in tennis instruction, we've used the word pronation rather loosely, but it really meant more about what the hand and the wrist were doing. And so that's technically what pronation is. But pronation in the modern serve, and what we really see now, is that pronation is a long axis rotation that originates in the shoulder. So there's less emphasis on the hand and the wrist, and more of the action is going to come from the shoulder as you play the motion. And I'm going to show you exactly how to develop that skill and how that's going to help you develop more power on your serve. So long axis rotation really originates in the shoulder. So the power is really coming through the shoulder rotating. So as the racket is coming on edge, we know the racket's coming on edge with the Continental Grip. As it comes on edge, we want to rotate this action through the shoulder so that the racket goes from the edge to the strings on the ball through the shoulder. And that is really where that power is going to originate. What is the role of the wrist? Well, the role of the wrist on the serve is primarily what's called ulnar deviation, where the wrist actually has more of an action like this. So what happens is when you move from the racket drop up, if your wrist didn't move at all, your racket head would never get to contact. So there has to be action from here to here, and that is the action that is actually in the wrist. So we want to allow the wrist to extend and literally throw the racket up to the ball, but once we get there, we're not going to snap the wrist. So the idea or the myth or the instruction to snap your wrist on the ball is actually just indeed a myth. It's not actually what happens. So once we are coming up here and we're throwing the racket up through our ulnar deviation, we're going to blend that together with shoulder rotation. So we've got momentum going up, and then we've got shoulder rotation going out. And that's literally why you see almost all the servers, all the way back to Pancho Gonzalez, who understood pronation, look like this, where the racket strings that play the ball are actually facing the side. So the racket really turns 180 degrees, or near that. It could turn more if you have an amazing shoulder like some players like Pete Sampras, and you might have less pronation than that if you're Roger Federer, who tends to have a little less flexibility in his shoulder. Still gets a lot out of his pronation though, because he understands how to use it. So again, pronation is going to occur when you get to the top. You're going to blend that extension with rotation. And it is that action that generates easy power without a hard swing. It's relaxed, it's effortless, and the racket head moves through beautifully. So the concept of pronation through the shoulder is where that power is going to originate. And then it just transmits itself out through the forearm. So does the forearm move independently of the shoulder? It does, but it moves because the action from the shoulder creates it. So it's not really isolated by itself. It's actually a byproduct of the movement that originates in the shoulder. So that is really what pronation is. How do you get it? You get pronation by practicing without the ball. So I'm a big advocate of rehearsing and understanding what it is you're trying to do when you're rehearsing so that that can be implemented when you play a ball. So if you could just get out and practice, and you don't even have to be on a court, you can just practice holding the Continental Grip, feel like the racket's coming up on edge, and then turn it through the shoulder. So the racket's literally going to go from behind the hand to over the hand and past the hand while the arm is still up. So we're getting that action in there from the shoulder. Now, the degree to which you can rotate depends on your flexibility. I'm personally not that flexible in that area. I don't have a tremendously flexible shoulder that allows for a lot of pronation. So there's a little bit of a limitation there. So there's a couple of things you can do. You can work on your flexibility and your mobility to increase that range of motion, which will help you. Or you can just work within it. And it just depends on what your physical nature is. But the bottom line is that you really do want to try to get that pronation in there. Now, if you have limitations in your shoulder rotation, that may affect the extent to which you go to a Continental. If I had a really flexible shoulder, I may go to a strong Continental Grip because I can still use that shoulder and get more degrees of rotation to get the action on the serve. If I'm a little less flexible, I may go a little bit to the weak side. And I think that's what we see with players even like Nishikori, who almost serves with his hand here. It's as if he's trying to compensate for what appears to be maybe a lack of shoulder rotation or full mobility in his shoulder with his grip. So it enables him to still get pronation, but he doesn't have to have such a mobile shoulder. The takeaway from this lesson is you got to have a Continental Grip or nearly a Continental Grip, somewhere in that range, and you've got to develop pronation to develop an easy power, learn how to spin the ball, and generate easy racket head speed that's going to enable you to play tennis for a long, long time and continue to improve on your journey. If you enjoyed and benefited from this lesson today, please give us a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel if you have not done so already, and feel free to leave comments below. Of course, there's so much more to learn about the serve, and we have a free guide to the 5 key principles that you must develop in order to really have a professional quality serve. Click down below for your free guide, and we look forward to helping you with future lessons.